You may think that buying this Hypercharge or collecting those credits is the best way to progress your account, but for some players, it can actually be the worst mistake you can ever make. And those are only 2 of the 25 mistakes you need to avoid in Brawl Stars. From progression mishaps to in-game errors, chances are that you're making at least one of these mistakes right now. So let's dive right in. Firstly, in Brawl Stars, you're always either at rest or moving at max speed. There's no in between like in games like Genshin Impact. So all the space on the joystick is kind of useless. So what pros do is they make the joystick as small as possible, making switching directions easier and allowing you to dodge better. Now here's a really big mistake that I see a ton of new players make, not buying these gem Hypercharge offers. If you didn't know, every time a new brawler comes out, Supercell likes to put these Hypercharge gem offers in the shop, which allow you to buy the new brawler's Hypercharge for just 79 gems. This equals to 63 coins per gem, which makes it the best way to convert your gems into coins. To put this into perspective, the regular coin offers have conversion rates of around 10 coins per gem. This makes the Hypercharge offer 6 times more efficient than the regular offers. But while those gem offers are absolutely worth getting for the majority of players, there's a point where buying Hypercharges actually starts to hurt your progression. And this is a mistake I see a lot of experienced players make. That mistake? Buying every single Hypercharge. And I mean every single one. The thing is, progression significantly slows down when you're maxed. For example, just look at the fallback rewards from Star Drops. If you have every single Hypercharge in the game, Star Drops have nothing to give you if you roll a Hypercharge. So the Star Drop defaults to the fallback reward, which isn't that great. If you roll a Hypercharge, instead of giving you the value of a Hypercharge, which is 5,000 coins, Star Drops just give you 1,000 coins. This is Supercell's way of preventing max players from getting hundreds of thousands of coins in surplus and instantly buying everything at the start of each update. So by buying every single Hypercharge, you're literally cutting your progression by 80% every time you roll one. Even those Hypercharge gem offers that come out every time a new brawler releases, they're kind of a trap if you have every single Hypercharge. Let me explain. These offers are obviously a great deal if you're not maxed, since you're getting a Hypercharge worth 5,000 coins for just 79 gems, giving a 63 coin per gem exchange rate. That's one of the highest rates that you can get. But if you're maxed, this math is plain wrong. Think of it like this. Every time a new brawler comes out, you're probably gonna get at least one Hypercharge from a Star Drop or a Hypercharge Star Drop from either an event or a pass. So if you don't buy the new Hypercharge, that Star Drop gives it to you for free. That's 5,000 coins worth of value. But if you do buy it first, then this Star Drop has no Hypercharge left to give you. So instead, it only gives you 1,000 coins. That means that your 79 gems didn't really give you 5,000 coins worth of value, but rather only gave you 1,000. If this scenario happens, it gives you a Hypercharge gem offer a coin to gem exchange rate of just 12.7, which is literally worse than the 360 gem to coin offer in the shop. Now, I'm not saying not to buy any Hypercharges at all, because obviously not having a Hypercharge puts you at a massive disadvantage, especially in ranked. But there are currently over 100 brawlers in the game, and most players won't ever play at least a couple of brawlers. So before buying a Hypercharge, consider if you actually play that brawler, if that brawler's meta, and if the Hypercharge is essential to the kit. Some Hypercharges are just plain useless if you don't play the respective brawlers frequently, like Pearls and Mikos. Instead, there might be something better to spend your coins on, such as maxing another brawler. In fact, with 5,000 coins, you can buy either 2 star powers, 5 gadgets, or even better, you could level up brawlers or buy gears, both of which you can't get for free from Star Drops. But did you know that there's a deal that might be almost as good, if not better in some cases, than the Hypercharge gem offer? Every time Brawl Stars releases new buffies, Supercell releases the 79 gem to buffy offer, which is essentially 79 gems for 2,000 power points and 1,000 coins worth of value. And since Supercell now considers 1 coin equivalent in value to 1 power point, you're essentially spending 79 gems for 3,000 coins worth of value, or 38 coins per gem. Now you may be asking, why would I buy this over the Hypercharge offer if the Hypercharge offer gives 63 coins per gem and this one only gives 38? Well, obviously, one situation where this offer will be better than the Hypercharge coin offer is if you have nearly all the Hypercharges and want to avoid getting the 1,000 coin fallback reward, since this offers 38 coins per gem value is higher than the Hypercharge fallback rewards 12.7 coins per gem value. But another situation is if you have more coins than power points. You see, even though Supercell says that power points and coins are of equal value, I almost never see anyone having an equal amount of coins and power points. So if you're low on power points, this might actually be the better offer for you. Besides, the only way you can get buffies without paying for them is from Ultra Chaos drops. So even if you get all the buffies in the game, the chance of you wasting a buffy drop and getting the fallback reward of 1,000 points is very low. Now, wondering where you can get gems to purchase those Hypercharge and buffy offers? Well, I see tons of players missing out on a free 10 gems per month that takes just 30 seconds to collect. If you go to store.supercell.com, then go to offers, there should be 10 gems just waiting for you there. This is a super easy way to gain free progression and only takes a couple of seconds. Next, you probably knew that there were ways to save coins and power points when buying buffies and Hypercharges, but did you also know that you could save coins buying gears? You have to capitalize on this quick though, before all brawlers get their epic and mythic gears replaced with buffies. When you get your first brawler to level 8, you unlock gears, and to start you off, Supercell gives you 1 gear for free. The thing is, not all gears cost the same amount of coins. Super rare gears cost 1,000 coins, epic gears cost 1,500 coins, and mythic gears cost a whole 2,000 coins. A mistake I see tons of players make is choosing a super rare gear as their free gear, which loses out on 500 or even 1,000 coins worth of value. So just make sure that your first gear is an epic or mythic gear to not miss out on free coins. Now, if you didn't know, Apple and Google take a cut of in-app purchases you buy if you buy items in-game. So it's better for Supercell if you buy items outside of the Brawl Stars app. To incentivize you to buy items on the Supercell website, they give out gem bonuses there, just like this one right here. Along with Supercell ID points, you can use to buy exclusive exclusive Supercell skins, or just plain progression if you'd like. Additionally, for the Brawl Pass, Supercell hands out an extra 30% progression boost if you buy it from their website. If you're spending money on Brawl Stars, this is a super easy change you can make to get some free extra rewards. Next, let me ask you this. If an S or A tier brawler got a 5% attack damage, super damage, and health nerf, do you think they would still be meta? Personally, unless they're literally game breaking, I think they would fall off at least a little bit. Well, that 5% is the exact stat difference between level 10 and 11 brawlers. When you pick an under level brawler, just make sure that the brawler you're picking is better than any of your max brawlers, even when nerfed by 5% in both HP and damage. And one more thing to think about is level 10 brawlers don't even have access to the hypercharges, making the power difference even more significant. But obviously, sometimes a brawler is just that good, like any assassin versus 3 throwers. So don't just discount the brawlers you have below power 11, but keep in mind the disadvantage you're playing at. Now let's extend this to level 9 brawlers, because for some reason I've seen level 9s get unironically picked and ranked. A level 9 brawler is 2 levels away from level 11, so the stat difference is huge, 10% to both health and damage. In the current meta, if any brawler got a 10% nerf to the health and damage, I would almost guarantee that they would drop at least 2 tiers. However, you can still get use out of your level 9 brawlers by switching. If you're playing in a team, you can pick a brawler that's really good into the opponent's team composition. Then you could suggest a brawler that you have at level 11 to one of your teammates. After that, on the swap screen, just press switch. This way, you lock in the best picks without ever risking that brawler being taken first by your opponents. Just keep in mind that this only usually works when you're playing with people you know. You can do this with randoms too, but it's riskier. They might not switch, or they might be forced to play a brawler they're not really good with. Now see, this offer is a total scam. These XP doubler offers are almost never worth it, even at a 50% discount. Assuming you complete the Brawl Pass every season, every XP doubler is worth 1/2800th of a tail end reward. That's right, not 1/28th, not 1/280th, but 1/2800th. If you scroll to the end of the Brawl Pass, you can see that after you finish it, Brawl Pass XP goes towards the tail end reward, given for every 2800 XP. This may seem glamorous at first, as a tail end reward advertises gems, mega boxes, and chaos drops, but it really isn't. A tail end reward can be anything from the low end, which is a couple of coins, to maybe a mega box at the very high end. The average gem value of a tail end reward is around 25 gems, and that's with the most generous gem conversions possible. And if you buy the XP doubler offer, you're spending 25 gems just for a third of that. If you haven't finished your Brawl Pass though, XP doublers can be worth it on the last day of the season in some cases. Here are the tiers you should buy the XP doublers for, but only buy the XP doubler offer if you're absolutely sure that you can't get this tier any other way. This spreadsheet will be linked in the description, and while you're at it, try the new hype feature that YouTube added. I'm pretty sure it's only on mobile, so if you're on desktop, just feel free to leave a like. Also, if it wasn't obvious enough, it's almost never worth it to gem the Brawl Pass, especially if you don't have the paid Brawl Pass. For example, if you gem this tier with the free Brawl Pass, you're paying 30 gems for 10 gems, which doesn't really make sense to do. And for this tier, you're paying 30 gems for 1000 coins, which is an okay deal at 33 coins per gem, but I wouldn't do this unless you're desperate for coins. But this would obviously only be when you're within one tier of getting it and you have absolutely no other way to gain XP before the season ends. If you have the paid Brawl Pass, a lot of the tiers become reasonably gemmable, such as the 2000 coins tiers for 30 gems, giving a 66.7 coins per gem exchange rate, beating out the Hypercharge offer. But with the XP boost that the Brawl Pass gives you, you shouldn't ever need to gem the Brawl Pass to complete it, so just don't even worry about gemming. Speaking of gems, here's a way a lot of people lose out on a ton of resources not watching esports, or you don't even have to watch them. Just select your favorite teams and you get 150 points per correct selection. If you get at least 70% of your predictions correct, you get 2000 points, which gives you tons of rewards. If you don't get 2000 points for predicting, you can just watch the esports stream for a couple of minutes on the Brawl Esports website and participate in the quizzes and surveys that pop up. Doing that will most likely give you more than enough points to complete the reward track. Beyond pure rewards, looking at pro gameplay is one of the best ways to improve at Brawl Stars, especially ranked. In particular, focus on how the pros draft and control their positioning. Now I know that we're not all pros, but I think we can learn at least something from how they play. Brawl Stars is a 3v3 game, but sometimes it can feel like a 1v1 just because of how the maps are set up. Most maps have 3 lanes, left, right, and center. A mistake I see a lot of players make is just going down the lane they're assigned at spawn. This might seem efficient since you're closest to your lane center, but a smart thing to do is to consider the opponents you're gonna face in your lane before you go down it. You can see which brawlers you'll face in each lane by looking at the battle cards at the start of each match. Players usually go down the lanes they start at, so this should be pretty accurate. Just pick the best matchup for yourself and go down the corresponding lane. Next, something a lot of people do is upgrade all their brawlers evenly. For example, upgrading all brawlers to level 2, then 3, then 4, and so on. The problem with this is that you can only take one brawler into a match at a time, so you're just stuck playing under level brawlers until you get every single brawler to level 11 with gadgets and star powers. What I'd recommend instead is pouring all your resources into one brawler at a time, then bringing them to max level with hypercharges, gadgets, star powers, gears, and buffies. Then get at least one brawler in every class, one tank, one assassin, one healer, and so on to max level, so you have more options in ranked and ladder. After that, this might seem like a small thing, but it provides a ton of benefits. Joining a club. While the mega pick isn't quite what the club league used to be, it still gives a ton of rewards. 20 star drops if you max out the mega pick, and 23 if you're the top contributor. This comes out to on average over 1500 coins and over 300 power points. This is in addition, by the way, to the 500 coins, 100 blink, and 200 power points that the mega pick itself gives you. If you're doing all 15 of your mega pick games, which you should be, that's around 130 coins and 30 power points per game, which is a ton of progression you might be missing out on. Next, every game mode has an objective. A lot of them are based on taking down enemies such as knockout, bounty, and Wipeout, but others have win mechanics totally unrelated to kills, like Brawl and Heist. A really common mistake in these modes is disregarding the objective and going for takedowns. While you do gain some control from kills, if you're not completing the objective, you're not making progress towards winning. For example, sometimes it's even better to completely ignore the enemy team in Heist. If the other team only has low DPS brawlers or brawlers that only deal high amounts of damage with their super, like Jessie or Colette, it might be better to just go for the base race. For reference, it only takes this amount of time for a Colette without super or Hypercharge to break a Heist save, but it takes Colt only this amount of time to do the same. That's a massive difference. After that, here's something I see a lot of older players make the mistake of not doing: storing your credits. When you finally unlock every brawler on the Star Road, you unlock Fame, which is basically an extension of the Star Road, but instead of brawlers, you get cosmetics. Now for some of you, this might sound enticing, but just keep in mind that when a new brawler comes out, you won't be able to get them instantly. However, if you care more about getting the new brawler than cosmetics though, as I do, there's a way to store your credits without them going to Fame, and you can do this by literally just not collecting your credits, like I've done here. This way, you can collect those credits after a new brawler has come out, so the credits go towards unlocking that brawler instead of cosmetics. Next, you have a limited amount of uses for your super, gadget, and hypercharge in a game, so you should save them for the perfect moment, right? Well, that would only be the case if you could charge an infinite amount of supers. In reality, the super charge that you gain after fully charging your super is wasted. I see a ton of players waiting for that perfect clippable moment, but those moments don't come every game. Instead, try using your super as quickly as possible, so you can start charging the next one. For hypercharges, I say to look for at least a reasonably good opportunity, since you only typically get 1 or 2 a game. Now let's say you're playing Brawl Stars, but you suddenly have to get off your phone for some reason. You have to turn off your phone, right? But don't just press the power button and put it in your pocket. If you do that, you'll just be idle in game for a couple of seconds, which could be the difference between your team winning or losing. Instead, first close the app. This will send a signal to Brawl Stars that you've left the game, and you'll instantly be turned into a bot, which is obviously a downgrade from your gameplay, I hope, but it's better than nothing and at least gives your team a better chance at winning. Next, when you hold the ball in Brawl, you can't attack. That means your team is essentially fighting a 2v3 for however long you're holding it. Obviously, you need to hold it at some point to score, but before that, try to gain map control first. After you take control of an area, kick the ball into that territory and keep pushing. This gives you more consistent wins and maintains pressure on the enemy team. But before you do that, when you first start playing Brawl Stars, one of the primary forms of progression you have is the trophy road. From 0 trophies to 10,000 trophies, you get a ton of rewards, including 8,900 power points, 2,800 credits, 29,200 coins, 800 bling, 8 rare brawlers, 10 super rare brawlers, 9 star drops, 7 chaos drops, 2 legendary star drops, and 1 hypercharge star drop. So as you can see, using the trophy road rewards allows you to quickly progress through the early stages of the game. But one mistake I see some new players make is only playing a single brawler. The way the trophy system works is that it gets harder and harder to push a brawler as you gain more and more trophies. This is because as you gain more trophies, you face harder and more skilled opponents while also gaining less trophies per win and losing more trophies per loss. This effectively makes it so that the average player gets stuck at Prestige 2 or around 2,000 trophies, with pro level skill being required to break past 4,000 trophies. In other words, it just takes far more time to push one brawler to say 1,000 trophies than it does to push 10 brawlers to 100 trophies. So by only pushing a few brawlers, you're making it harder for yourself to increase your total trophy count. Instead, I'd recommend to push every brawler up to where you can no longer consistently win every game, whether that be 500 trophies, 1,000 trophies, or even 1,500 trophies. With this strategy, you should be able to get 10,000 trophies pretty easily. After 10,000 trophies though, the rewards from Trophy Road slow down considerably, so you won't have to worry about the Trophy Road much after that. Next, gems and gem grab are obviously crucial to winning the game, since once you get 10 gems, a 15-second counter starts, and you win if you maintain at least 10 gems for that duration. That means that you should just pick up gems in any way possible, right? Well, you could do that, but that means you'll always lose gems if you or your teammates die, so no one on your team is going to be able to play aggressively, and if they do, well, that's probably gonna happen. And that's a mistake I've seen way too many times. Instead, what pro players do is they assign someone on their team to take the role of the gem carrier. The gem carrier's job is simple: to stay alive and collect gems. That's literally it. Because of that, brawlers suited for being the gem carrier have healing, support, or escape abilities, such as Gus, Pam, Poco, 8-Bit, and Piper. By having a gem carrier, players on your team who aren't a gem carrier can die without many consequences, and this is especially useful for assassins who need to jump onto their opponents to be effective. If you accidentally pick up gems, it's sometimes even beneficial to intentionally die at your spawn, of course, to give gems to your gem carrier. Now, a really simple thing that I see a ton of players miss is not collecting the daily freebies in shop that take less than 10 seconds to collect every day. But I'm not just talking about the one in the shop where you scroll to the right anymore. In fact, in 2026, there are 4 or 5 daily freebie sources in Brawl Stars, and not just one. The first one is easy. You get it for logging into Brawl Stars with a daily streak. And the second one is a usual daily freebie in the shop, which may look kinda underwhelming at first, but can be a nice surprise when you get a jackpot. However, the next freebie gives even more rewards, and it's a daily supercell freebie, which a lot of people miss, but it's really simple to claim by just tapping this button here and claiming the resources in your browser. Next, this isn't really a daily freebie, but keep up with Brawl Stars news, whether it be on Reddit, YouTube, or Twitter. Every time Supercell releases some kind of event in Brawl Stars, there's often freebies given out in the form of resources or even exclusive cosmetics. If I upload this video on time, you should be able to sign up for Adidas' Adi Club, scroll down to the partner offers, and claim a couple exclusive cosmetics for the World Cup. But this final freebie is arguably even more important to check for every day, and it's Juju's Oddity Shop. Now, this isn't because of the 60 bling you get every day for tapping on each offer in the shop, but it's because of something else. And the something else is a chance for you to outright get a free offer in the shop, getting you a free skin and progression. Of course, these offers offers are extremely rare, but if you never check your oddity shop, you're never gonna get it. And you also miss out on the offers that aren't free but are really good deals nonetheless. So definitely check in every day. Speaking of Juju's shop, if you're hunting for a specific skin in there, don't make the mistake of thinking that the offers are truly random, because they're not. It's actually tailored for you, and more specifically, your frequently played brawlers, your recently unlocked brawlers, and brawlers you have at level 11. So if you want a specific skin, the best way to get that skin is to actually upgrade the brawler that has the skin and play the brawler more. Next, if you have an alt account that you barely play on, you might be making a mistake with that account in terms of progression. If you're just logging in here and there once or twice a week to collect freebies, you're actually losing progression. You see, if you don't log on to an account for a certain amount of time, depending on your trophies, some of your brawlers get a progression boost, and you get a welcome back login streak track, where you can get a ton of rewards, including a free legendary brawler. But every time you do log in, this amount of time resets. So if you're not playing on an account, make sure to not accidentally log into it and reset your welcome back reward timer. Finally, would you rather defeat 20 enemies or play 30 battles? Well, the answer seems kind of obvious, right? Unless you're going into showdown and walking into the smoke and finishing those 30 battles within 20 seconds of each other while losing tons of trophies, defeating 20 enemies will always be faster than playing 30 battles, because, well, unless you're one of my randoms, you should be getting at least 1 kill per game, or at the bare minimum 2 kills every 3 games. Here's the thing though, Supercell makes these tasks interchangeable as part of a mega quest, and a lot of players make the mistake of going through with whatever quest they're assigned, even if it's an objectively bad one. Unlike seasonal quest rerolls, which are limited to 5 a week, you get infinite mega quest switches, so you can literally pick the mega quest that you think you can finish the fastest for every single mega quest. And that's the list. Now that you know how to save your resources, here's what the game would look like if every brawler got a third gadget. Would you buy them?